There you have it, guys. You heard that? You heard that? She said the amount of money that people in Puerto Rico receive from the citizens of America. This bitch think Puerto Rico is a different country.
Saying that the amount of money Puerto Rico sees from the actual citizens that live in America, the amount of tourism that the Dominican Republic receives, and you guys act like you have zero coof when it comes to just sitting back and indulging in their culture. It's crazy. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we black people just started getting our our due diligence when it comes to the Super Bowl since Jay-Z is taking over. Really, we might get sprinkled in here and there over the years.
Listen, man, y'all know what this is. This is just my introduction to the show because when you hear these black women speak, they always say we as black people. It really pisses me off because the last thing that they are in line with is the men. They are separate people. It's wild though, man. I mean, you just can't let them speak.
But we've just really been getting an entire halftime show dedicated to us within the last like 7, 8 years. Okay, they just got one. So imagine watching football and being a fan for the last 35, 40, 50 years, and you've never had zero representation at all on their stages besides Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Like, come on, y'all. The ignorance is really bliss, and it's not cute. It's not cute at all. It's not cute. And excuse my sniffling. It's my allergies. I just sprayed my nasal spray. It's like I said, I'm about to go to bed. But yeah, like, it's not cute, y'all. Stop that. Bad Bunny did his thing. Did I understand anything that he was saying? Absolutely not. Am I going to look up everything that he was saying? Absolutely. Am I going to learn something from this? Hell yeah. The same way they learned something from Kendrick Lamar last year. So let's just stop. We shouldn't be the oppressor when we are the oppressed.
There you go, guys. I just wanted to give you an idea of what these black bitches are actually talking about. You understand?
Do I regret it? Absolutely not.
They ain't never talking about shit.
Puerto Rico. Y'all know
I'm also sitting here thinking because I just Google Translate one of his songs, but I also think that if I ever met Bad Bunny in person, I think we would get along very well. Because I also like kissing. I also like kissing, and I also like eye contact. I do keep eye contact. So I fear we would have a great time with each other. I feel like if we were just in the room, I was done up because right now I'm chilling, right? But if I was done up and I saw Bad Bunny and I'm staring him down and he's staring me down, yeah, I can see what our next move is. If you like kissing, I like kissing. Why are we wasting time?
There you go, guys. There you go. I tried to put you on the game. Let's move on.
Was the other one.
Fresh and Fit.
Yes, the Fresh and Fit podcast. I think those are the two big ones in that space.
Yeah, I've been on both.
Okay,
a bunch.
Okay, cool. Okay. I wasn't aware, but again, it wasn't like coming from like a venomous there was no animosity there. I was just kind of joking around. Like the topic came up, and I was like, oh, what's with these shows where it's like these grown men debating like club hoes? Like, what is that? Like, come on. And then I said something like where I was like, isn't all of their arguments to me just seem to be the most obvious thing that like everyone I knew in high school understood? Like, yeah, don't marry a whore. No kidding. Like, of course, And so I just said something like that, kind of off the cuff. And I heard back from some of the fans who were upset about that. But then I have a decent amount of young men who listen to my show. Sure. And I heard back from a lot of like my fan base. And they were like, no, Dave, you don't understand. this is actually what it's like out there right now. Like if you're in your 20s trying to date, this is the type of stuff that we're dealing with. And as I heard that back several times over, it did kind of dawn on me that it's like, I've been married with kids for a while now, and I'm 41, and perhaps
I was in the same boat. I was in the same exact boat.
Well, that seems to kind of be the perspective that you represent on these shows. And so it did kind of dawn on me that it's like, maybe I really am not fully appreciating how toxic the kind of fourth wave feminist influence has been on young women and what young men have to deal with. So like, what's your perspective on this, having been on these shows many times?
Well, it all started with.
So what we have here, we have the guy on the left. He's married, but from what I hear, he's some sort of liberalist or whatever the case is. And I do this video so you niggas could understand. Are you like him? Also, you see how these white boys are kind of fucked up in the game? Also, you see how niggas like this take up for women. And it's not only the bitches that we trying to, I would say, win against and you know, establish our own line, which is the dominant line. To also like pinpoint these clown, or I would say actual simp ass niggas.
First wave feminism, really, but I'm not a fan of first wave either. I'm not a fan of any feminism. But so I was in the same boat at first too. I've been married for a long time, over a decade, and you know, I've been out of the dating pool for a long time, and I'm just like kind of like, what's all the hubbub about? And you know, I've been invited on many different types of shows, different panel shows, things like this. In IRL, I didn't do too much IRL work. The absolute narcissism that came from these women. And the thing is like kind of the more you draw out, the more you realize that what is referred to as female narcissism is alive and well. And the reason that it is because of social media. So social media has created a kind of filtered image of what a woman is, and has kind of replaced the ontology of what we would consider, you guys like you and I would consider one, like the grounding being of what one is.
All right, so let's go on.
That would be what you would be getting from these women. And what was interesting to me is I thought perhaps it was a setup as well, right? Maybe they're just kind of finding the worst of the worst of the worst, but that's not so. As it turns out, it doesn't matter which pool you draw from and which age bracket, they seem to all have this same type of conclusion. And what's happened is they can compete now in a way that they never could for this kind of top bracket of men which are available. Let's say 20%. They're competing desperately. So men compete within higher.
So this guy on the left is acting like he doesn't know this. And also, we're going to break him down on a scenario. It's wild that he tried to put his wife into the conversation. Let's go.
Hierarchies against each other. Women don't have hierarchies against each other. The only thing they compete for is men. That's it. That's the only competition women will ever really have. And so they're all competing in their 20s, 30s, and this is referred to as hypergamy. And because they're all competing, they really only settle down now when they're, you know, in their early 30s or sometimes now in their 40s. That's why we have such a birth rate crisis. That's one of the big prime reasons. Well, what ends up happening because of this is that because these kind of higher status men, 15%, 20%, well, the value they are by other men. And so they become kind of what is referred to as leftovers, right? And they're kind of picking up men who are leftovers, who are in the bottom tier, and they don't really treat them very well. And it's not really a great life for them. So social media has enabled all of these women to begin to compete for that higher echelon of men. And that's never happened before in history. And we have no idea how to deal with this at all.
See, now this is where we come into play at. We do know how to deal with it. See, the problem is, the black community had it right. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. They fought against that so hard. You understand that they done made all the men fucking like this dude on the left. And the dude on the right, he had to get an awakening, and now he realizes, nah, it don't matter where you pick these bitches from. They ain't shit but hoes and tricks. But we had it right a long time ago. They done fucked up our men to grow up in this new society. It is what it is. Let's go.
Just nobody has any clue.
It is, as you said, I think you're probably right that social media is one of the huge culprits in this. I also, you know, there's others. There's just how far, and look, I agree with you. I have plenty of criticisms of first wave feminism and second wave feminism, but something has clearly changed, you know, like in the last 30 years. And this is why I don't even know how popular the term fourth wave feminism is, but third wave feminism was like the 90s, and there's something else going on, whatever you would classify this as. It's not.
Well, I really think it does boil down to social media, and I'll give you the reasoning behind it.
Sure.
So you can imagine in America, even going up to the 80s, that you were a product of your friend group.
Here we go.
More normalized than ever.
Well,
before.
you're absolutely right. So what's happened is this is the strangest experiment that nobody ever knew was going to happen with the advent of the internet.
We're like, oh, we got the Drudge Report.
Yeah, this is the weird. It's the weirdest social experiment in history, and it'll be looked back on as just that, as this kind of bizarre social experiment. So here's the experiment. We are going to assume for a second that men and women are equally virtuous. We equally have the capacity for virtue. So what you're talking about with like, I don't want to be a slut. I don't want to be a skank. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be looked down on in society that way.
Already, homie on the left, he doesn't understand. Bitches are hoes and skanks and everything that's bad. Now, placed with a situation to have a responsibility for what? For society, for the quote unquote generational wealth and actual create the next generation.
Way, I don't want to be a teenage mom. You know what I mean? All those things, bad virtues. They don't want anything to do with it. Well, what happens in this social experiment then, if we just assume for a second that all of these women, we can give them all this magic superpower. And the magic superpower is that the opposite sex, between the ages of you being about, 16 and 29, are going to do anything they can do to have sex with you. Whatever it is, they're going to attempt to do that thing in order to have sex. Now, this is your great superpower, okay? And you can take this superpower now and take it global, right? Before, everyone in your little domain, you all had your superpowers, right? But you had to stay inside your little petri dish.
Right.
Now we're going to make it airborne, right? Now the virus is airborne.
Let's go.
So on the virtue scale, what's happened is, because it's become a global phenomenon, the virtue's gone right out the fucking window. It's gone right out the window.
Well, in a sense, as you're saying it, I've never really thought about that before. But as you're saying it, I think it would probably be worse. Because, well, if men had that, I just think nothing would ever get done. I think society would collapse. I mean, like if men just had access to sex, like on that level, on the level that like a 20-year-old chick has, nothing would ever get.
Yeah, the whole thing would collapse.
The whole
exactly.
thing collapses.
But even in the reverse, it's collapsing, right? It's still collapsing because it was only supposed to be applied at the local level.
Right. No, I get your point. I'm just saying, so there's a slow burn collapse happening this way. But I think the point that I'm trying to get at is almost that one of the things that's so tragic about it is that, and I have a whole bit about this in my stand-up set, but there are roles for men and women. And it's almost like what's so tragic is that the role for women is to not be that. That's the whole point. The whole point of like a society is that obviously men are going to be dogs to some degree, and men have to be civilized out of that. And you need kind of a good woman to kind of let you know, like, okay, I shouldn't just be chasing tail. I should be like kind of getting my life together a little bit. But we, in some sense, we count on women to be the ones who aren't men.
Right. Well, that's the tail's end.
Women are acting like men.
Right. Well, that's the tail's end, right? So you're talking about the masculine, like kind of the masculine flip. So you're talking about the feminine to masculine flip. But think about it the other direction too. So this is where it gets really interesting. So if you think about it at a local level, this is kind of brilliant, right? God's plan here, brilliant plan. So here's how it works. Localized, you're going to have X amount of men, not very many, who are these really high status.
All right. So they're talking about the access to men. Let's move on.
Borg implants. But the fact that you and I can have this talk right now, this conversation, wherever it is that you are and wherever it is that I am, with tens of thousands of people watching, right? And anybody can do this phenomenon at any time. That's part of transhumanism. That's part of this idea of kind of elitely leaving your body and leaping into.
And you're like, yeah, I'm sure there were some people in like the 30s in the Soviet Union who were like, things have gotten pretty crazy. That pendulum's going to swing back. And it's like, yeah, not till the 90s. So you got some time. But that being said, it does feel like on many different levels, there has been, the full-blown wokeism has only really existed for less than 15 years. And it does seem like something different is happening over these last couple years. And I think COVID had a lot to do with this. I think
you know what I'm saying? This guy right here has no idea what the fuck is going on. He's a married man trying to get into a conversation that you don't have no idea of. And once you do that, you start to make shit up. What are you talking about, Prince? It's all on the bitches. Simply put. I'm gonna break it down because Andrew, he's trying his best. But you still, and he has the nastiness to, attack these monsters. But you have to be outright filthy, like Snoop and them, man.
For a lot of the things that were just like a large percentage of the population was kind of like, this is enough. We're pushing back against this now. The trans kids thing has a lot to do with that. Like that was kind of a line in the sand, I think, for a lot of people. But Look, the overwhelming thing from what I've seen of the Whatever podcast and Fresh and Fit and stuff like that, it makes me deeply sad.
Well, the thing is, that's good though, right? The visceral response is good to kind of shock you out of apathy. So what's happening? What's happening here on a global scale is unprecedented and is not yet even talked about. People don't actually even know why they're moving towards this content or why they're fascinated by the interdynamics of men and women in modernity. They don't even know why yet, but they're going to. They're going to look back and see that this was a population collapse of epic proportion, which was global because of this idea of hypergamy and the idea of competing. Now you can compete for the most high status men on planet Earth, even if you're, mid 4, right? You can still throw your hat in the arena. And this has just never been done before. This social experiment has never, the potential for it was never even there. There just wasn't any. If you were one of those lucky girls who flew around the world and met all the, kind of rich, hot guys and the basketball players and the football players, you were really one of the few. Yeah. That was not available to most women. Now it's available to all of them. Now there's kind of just normal women sleeping with celebrities. There's normal women sleeping with football players. There's just really kind of normies. They're not even in the groupies in the bands anymore. You don't even have to be a groupie. You don't even.
And what this guy Dave on the left, he think that that's the extent of it. No, they go fuck Diddy and they can't be with Diddy. So they come back to the regular community and they spread their diseased ass pussy around. So it's way worse than what this other guy is telling him. But he's a fucking lost cuck.
You have to follow the band around. You can just kind of show up at a gig, right? And away you go. And this is, again, because the social experiment is so new, we have no answer for it. Nobody's figured out any sort of solutions for this. And so it's fascinating to people, right? And baffling at the same time. And I've been working on this kind of project for about 2 years, trying to get this figured out. And I'm no closer to really having answers today.
Because these white boys don't understand the answer. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I have the answer, but it's too hard to apply. But it's easily able to see. If all you ever wanted out of a bitch was her to do shit for you all day, she would think that you're calling her a slave. And if you're not getting the bitch to do shit for you, why not? You just want some pussy, that's fine. She could go get eggplant anywhere as well. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying get yours. Y'all are actually letting bitches off the hook out here.
Than I was when I started, to be honest with you.
Well, it seems like there are a few basic answers that jump out that, are not that I'm coming up with anything you haven't figured out already, but a few basic ones are that, number one, we got to convince young men that they don't want to, that buying into this game is a bad idea.
See that? Anytime you niggas want to bring up what the men should do, you have fucked up. You don't even know what goes on in the game. If you're worried about what the men should do, most men are basically like, look, I make this amount of money. Is that good enough for me to be with you? I would like to love on you, blah, 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 for the most part.
Young men that they don't want to, that buying into this game is a bad idea. And that you shouldn't be just trying to bang whatever four you can. And you should, and listen, I'm saying this as somebody who I am not trying to be holier than thou. Before I got married and settled down, I lived a very degenerate lifestyle and I was a comedian.
That's the thing, right? We all did.
Yeah. But
we all did.
But I'll tell you.
So how do you have the expectation that, the up and coming 21-year-old who's getting a blowjob behind the club like you were? It's like 10 years ago, you want to high five the guy, right? You want to walk out and be like, hey, nice job, buddy. Tell me I'm lying.
So no, I won't.
No,
I can't. But I will say that, okay, so I remember I had this talk with a young man who's a
clown.
And he basically was telling me that he knew the story was that she wanted more out of him. He was not interested in committing to her or anything like that. And then she went around and started telling people that he basically date raped her. And I was talking to this guy who is somebody who is a close family friend who I love. And I was telling him, I was like, look, here's the reality. Because this is at the height of the Me Too movement. This is a few years ago, right? And I said to him, I was like, look, here's my advice for you, okay? You cannot have drunken one-night stands. It's just not okay anymore. In my day, you could just do that. That was just kind of part of life. We all just
See, it's niggas like this that think that he's telling young niggas advice. No. That's not the advice. It's not that man's fault. How could you place the fault that somebody lied on him? Oh, you can't have drunk. No, she's a piece of shit.
All accepted that we were adults and had adult responsibility. And if you were out at the bar at last call, you could meet someone, go home with them for the night, and that was that. I go, that's not the world we live in anymore. And I'll tell you, you can't do that anymore. Now, it might sound like I'm saying, hey, it was okay for me to do this thing, but it's not okay for you. But I was like, look, just to be honest, looking back on it now, my life is no worse if I never had a single one of those encounters. None of that actually matters. It doesn't bring you anything of value. It's over in a second. And
it's pure materialism. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And look, it's one of the things, as you're talking about, I completely agree with you that I think one of the groups of big losers is like just regular guys who in the past, it would have been much easier for them to find a loyal wife. And now they've got to compete with the upper echelon of men. But I also just feel like every one of those girls, at least of the clips I've seen, every one of those girls who you're talking to, I feel like you are losing so much in this. Like the whole system was set up for you. The whole system. I know they wanted to define everything.
But that's a great part of the social experiment, right?
Well, right. But they define everything pre-feminism as being patriarchy or something like that. When in actuality, the way the system was set up was like, okay, we have these natural impulses.
So what's going on here is he's trying to say is all the laws are built for women. Okay. And bitches are still complaining. What does that tell him? It tells him nothing. What does it tell us? It tells us everything that we know already. The bitches are the enemy. How could they not be good with everything that's the laws for them and they still deem us the enemy? How's that even possible?
Guys want to get laid. And so the old system was like, hey, you want to get laid? Well, before you can do that, you have to commit to this woman for life.
Well, it was interesting. The system pre-feminism was actually much more rigorous on the woman's side. They had a sisterhood, an actual sisterhood.
Right.
And so how this sisterhood worked was like this. If there was a woman who was being a skank or, this type of thing, or going after the various men, they would take care of that problem. And the reason that they would is because they were like, look, you're going to fuck this up for everybody. You're going to fuck this up for all of us. Right. Okay. If these dudes realize that they can get this from us, right, and they don't have to pay, take care of us, nothing, they're not going to. Okay. They're just going to do this, and they're not going to do that other part that we like, which is to basically sit on our asses at home for most of our lives, right? Where they take care of almost everything. And it was a glorious exchange from the man and woman's perspective. It was a pretty glorious exchange, right? The men didn't give a shit. They were happy with that. Hey, you had my kids. You cooked the meals. If you have a bit of luxury modernity, perfect. I don't care. The 1920s, 1910s, not a bad time to be a woman, I got to tell you. And they lived pretty comfy lives. And they had that sisterhood made sense then. Now the sisterhood is different. Now they actually, because they make these choices early in life to devalue themselves through degeneracy, the sisterhood actually pushes women who want to stay chaste towards that lifestyle. And what it is pulling up the ladder behind them, right? They're going, okay, what we're going to do is this. We can't have you, Mrs. Virgin, pretty Midwest girl, go after these high value men who don't want me anymore because I fucked 30 dudes behind an Arby's one night. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to push you into that same lifestyle and tell you, no, you don't want that. These men are all bad. They're just taking advantage of you. Why even save yourself? Blah, 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 blah.
I mean, and for the most part, he's talking from the white side. But what does it even matter? It's the same thing from the black side.
Right? That's what they're doing. So now the sisterhood's totally counterintuitive. It's doing the opposite of what it used to do, which is insane. That's the result of feminism.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think it is the result of feminism. I think that I think women are, generally speaking, they're more easily led.
Oh, yeah.
Than men are, right? So women kind of like to, and this is something that I think almost everybody who knows women know. I think most women, if they're being honest, would admit this. Women are very likely to take on the characteristics of the guy they're with. They're much more likely to, like, a woman will tell you, this is what I want, and this is what I want. And then some guy will come around and be like, no, you don't want that. You want this. And they'll go, yep, you're right. That's actually what I want. And so I just think that when
including where to eat, right?
Yes.
You have to read their mind. That's how that works. You know this. You're a married man.
But it is what most women really want is somebody to lead them. And
there you go. That's where you know this man is all the way behind the game. He's all the way fucked up just to say some shit like that. Man probably got a couple married, couple friends or whatever. This man is lost. He should not be in this conversation. Let's go.
This is, again, I think this is built into how we were created. This is the inherent dynamics in us. And the problem is that when all of the cultural forces and all of the kind of, quote, leaders are pushing women in this direction, they tend to fall into it. And, I'll say the thing that is, and I'm sure you feel this way too, because I know you're married and you got kids, that there's something really sad for all parties involved. Even when you see like, even if she's like a gorgeous girl and she's 25 and she's on OnlyFans or whatever, a lot of the girls you talk to and they're making a ton of money. You're like, yeah, but oh my God, talk about a Faustian bargain. Like you've sold your soul. You sold out, and forget even whether you're religious or not. You could be a complete atheist. What I'm saying is that imagine selling out the second half of your life for a little bit of gain in the first half.
Brother, this is the major problem that most men have with the situation in America. And this is the part that I do the channel and a lot of other guys do these channels, is to let you know they don't have a soul. It's been programmed out of them. What they're doing is the expectation to become the whore that they are. Only people who are not on OnlyFans as a woman in America is the ones that can't be. And some of the ones that can't be still do it and become a fetish. I mean, it's ridiculous. So where do you place that on? Clown niggas like you that don't want to shut OnlyFans down. Clown niggas like you that got friends that have subscriptions and all this wild shit, man. You niggas done went from going to buy you some pussy to going to buy to watch some pussy. Just because you could chat box the bitch and you can't chat box Cornhub. Are you serious?
Well, it's worse. It's worse. I used to feel bad. I used to feel, bad for a lot of these women. I kind of had the same take you did, where you're just like, this is sad, right? This is just sad what's going on. Until I started to engage with them for just hours and hours and hours and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different women. And I realized something important. I started asking this question. And the hypothetical goes something like this. There's many different variations. I ask it in, but I'll just kind of give you the crux of it. If we're coming to the very last generation of humanity, okay, and it's going to be the most comfortable that you've ever lived, that every woman has ever lived, but that's going to be the last generation. Or we introduce just a modicum of discomfort, a little bit of discomfort, and through that discomfort, the human species continues on, right? Which would you prefer? And every single woman without flaw says, well, that's the end of the human race. That's the end of the human species.
And that's just what it is. That's what it is. How, Prince? How? Listen. Obese. Rainbow. Not your type. Or program. How do you do that? How do you increase the chances to keep on society if you got what? That's like 7 to 8 people that's not going to be reproducing. So that's 7 to 8 sections of people that's not going to reproduce. And I'm sure I'm missing many more, but that's like 7 to 8 different sections of bitches that just ain't going to have babies. All right? And that's the choice that they made.
Because what has happened is this, the way I phrase it is like this superpower, right? That then creates this simp culture. It creates a narcissist out of these women, and they literally can't turn it off, even when it's gone. So even after the beauty is gone and they're gross and men aren't opening the doors and they're not carrying the groceries and they're not sniffing all around to get some, right? They still can't shut it off. It's now embedded in them. And so at that point, they become a problem. Some of them become mentally ill, or they end up living alone for the rest of their life. And again, pulling the ladder up for other women, making them, doing the homemaking thing where it's like, no, go out and sleep with as many dudes as you can. I did. And my life is great. Meanwhile, they're fucking miserable in their cat houses. Right. So I used to kind of feel a lot worse for them until I realized that a lot of them are just fucking horrible, Dave. They're just really fucking horrible people. And
I couldn't have said it any better. They're just horrible people. And until America can look a woman in her face and say, ma'am, the way you've been programmed, the way that you've been grown up, like the way us daddies might have treated the ones that had daughters, to just want, and just everything about you. You are the destruction of America, and you are a horrible person. Because you could say it in a nice way, and don't mean she go. Look, let me explain something to you niggas. Trump account. Trump said, look, if you have a baby, we're going to give you some money and we're going to make $1,000 for the Trump baby account. Okay? If you have a job, your job could put, I believe, up to $2,500 for 18 years per month into this Trump account for the child. You, as a parent, can put a maximum up to $5,000 per month. I don't know for how many years until the baby's Trump account, where children will just have their money in the markets or whatever. And if the more people that America would create, clearly it would be more money into the markets or whatever. You understand where we're going with this? So they always complain about, oh, I wouldn't have a child in this economy. Trump has provided a way for your child to just be healthy, exist. They touch the money when they get 18 years old. And who knows where the money could be by then. See, but the poor people won't take advantage of this. White people out there making babies, getting them damn Trump accounts. See that? So all this generational wealth and all this stupid shit. I mean, the Trump account is a beautiful thing. A job, because some jobs have gotten with the program, some jobs will put into the baby's Trump account, if they're an employer, and the parents can put it to the Trump account and the child can't touch it. Just be healthy, exist, make it to 18. There you go.
When given the opportunity of having that Spider-Man-esque choice of with great power comes great responsibility, right? They went, fuck that, threw the responsibility over their shoulder and just took the power.
Okay, so I certainly understand what you're saying, and this is something I've mentioned before on the show as a critique of like our generation in general, not just women or not just people who don't get married, but there is something about feeling a responsibility toward the next generation and feeling and you could have this even if you don't have kids.
They're not even.
Brother, this dude is a fool. For anybody in America to think that women believe that they have a responsibility to the next generation is a fool.
Having a next generation.
Well, right. Makes it a lot easier if you do have kids, by the way. But yeah, no, but I just mean that it's kind of like, look, as you were mentioning earlier, right? Me and you can have this conversation right now. In a previous time, we never would have been able to meet each other, let alone, like have this conversation in front of it'll be a couple hundred and conditioning, and we have all these things. Have had kids, and the reason we have this extreme comfort is because previous generations have worked their fingers to the bone, and then to take all of that and say, I feel no obligation to the next generation, it's so profoundly horrible, like and selfish that it's just. But so
now you're getting it. Profoundly horrible and selfish.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And this is female narcissism and modernity. And all those guys who are DMing you, right? It's really hard, right? I feel terrible for them. And that's why I always say when I debate, I'm a representation of a worldview, right? If I can articulate what I know you mean and I can just do it better than you can, then great, right? I'm going to do that. And that's what they're trying to say, right? When they're DMing you, they're like, look, dude, this is so fucked up out here. And they can't even tell you why. They're just like, this one time, this horrible chick did this one time, this other one did this. What they're all alluding to is this version of female narcissism and modernity. That's what they're really pointing at. They just can't verbalize it.
Well, so I agree with that. And I feel the same way often in debates that like, yeah, okay, I can kind of express this a little bit better than a lot of people who want to express this thing. So let me make sure I do a good job on that. But I just returned back to and look, I also just this weekend, I happened to, my oldest kid finished preschool. And which is like, I don't know, if you got little kids, it's kind of an emotional moment when your kid finishes preschool because they're, it's like, I don't know, they're just a baby and now they're like becoming a kid.
Here we go, bringing his own family into the conversation. That's a loser's move, dog. Loser's move.
And then the next day she had her first dance recital ever. And I just had a weekend just like with a lot of like extended family and my little kids and it was just like the best. And I think for most people, and I'm somebody who has like, I don't know, within the spectrum of like careers that you could have and how rewarding they are and how much you love them, I'm pretty high up on that spectrum. Yeah. Like most people aren't me and you. They don't do what we kind of love to do for a living. And And all of that means nothing. It means nothing compared to like this weekend that I just spent with my little kids and my wife and my extended family.
It came from dirt, man. It came from dirt.
Yeah.
I was a ground pounder. I mean, what I'm doing is working 60 hours a week at an inside food factory.
This dude is here we go, trying to compare his relationship, his money. Y'all know anybody that do that? To the rest of the regular men who have it hard out here dealing with these hoes. Y'all know any black niggas that do that?
He's fixing robots. It's a ghoulish job, right? It paid well, but it's a ghoulish job. And it's like, I understand completely kind of the observation from the higher up view, right? That, man, I'm really lucky that I'm in this situation. That's what Dave Smith's saying, right? I'm really lucky I'm in this situation. I have it better than way more people, and it still doesn't matter because materialism, ultimately, who gives a shit? If you have a family, you completely reject it, right?
Yeah, well, you just understand what really matters. You have a hierarchy of values. And so I guess that's just my point, that I know a lot of those chicks end up lying and saying that they're really happy, but I don't know. Both me and you can just see through that. You're like, no, this is really sad.
Would you ever give a man that benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, sure.
Would you hold him to a higher account?
Well,
there we go. There we go. First line of pointing out his sympatry. First line of pointing out sympatry. Would you give the man the benefit of the doubt that look, he's going to work at CVS for the rest of his fucking life? That man deserves love like everybody else. Who the fuck these broke bum bitches think they are? And if that man says he's happy by not dealing with these bitches, would you give that man the benefit of the doubt?
no, I mean, I would still think it was very sad. I'm not saying there's like nothing reprehensible about these women. I'm just saying that it's still tragic. And yeah, I would feel that way about it.
What I've noticed is that with men are often held to account. Like if I said the kind of horrible fucking shit that these women say, dude, if I were to say some of the, I mean, just horrific, you can't even imagine. Okay. I'd be tarred and feathered. Okay. I mean, people would throw things at me in the street. They would, and I would deserve it. Okay. I would be held to account for it. And it's kind of given a pass. And the reason that they're given
and that's it right there. A lot of you niggas give these bitches passes. You let them off the hook. You don't get anything out of these hoes, man. That's a problem for me. I want you niggas getting everything out of these hoes. And if you can't get everything, get a lot. And if you can't get a lot, get something. To be out here and to just have this quote unquote fair and equal respect. You have a healthy respect for a bitch. Think about it, player. And I'm gonna say it to your face. You don't know if she has that for you. You think so.
Pass on this is essentially because men who also live inside of a gynocentric feminized society, they have been taught that women don't do wrong things. Men are abusers. Men are the beaters. Men are the ones who are doing all the domestic violence. Men are the ones walking out on their kids. Men are the ones who are the violent, evil element of society. Not women. Women are great. They're fantastic. They teach your children. They're kind. They don't even.
It's true. Bitches can't do no wrong in you niggas' eyes, man. That's crazy. They don't give a damn about you, yet they can't do no wrong in your eyes. How's that possible?
Art, Dave, right? They're perfect. And so the thing is because it's so ingrained in you. Remember, all your elementary school teachers, they were women. Your high school teachers, right? You had a couple who were men. Most of them were women. Yeah. Most of the education field is women, and they pump you full of estrogenic belief structures that have no business being in a man's mind to begin with. None. No business.
At least in my generation, niggas in my generation can identify with this. Only people we respected was the bitches in our family. And then if we had some friends or whatever. Everybody else could get that work.
100%. So I agree with you on that. Might disagree with you slightly.
And after you've grown up, you start to even lose some of those bitches. I mean, we were rough in my generation, pimp.
I don't know if I disagree with you that much, but I think that I think in many ways, being like, if you're talking about the propaganda machine, being taught that you're the perpetual victim can often be more damaging than being taught that you are the perpetual victimizer. I don't think that, like, for example, if I had.
He gonna go to some black community shit. Maybe y'all want to hear it. Maybe y'all don't.
I don't have kids this age, and my kids won't be going to like crazy liberal arts schools. But like, if you had, that won't happen. But if you had like, a 20-year-old white male son who was in some liberal arts college being taught that they are the colonizers and they're the evil ones and all of this, I certainly would object to that. If I had a 20-year-old black son who was being taught in that same liberal arts school that he is a perpetual victim and that society is out to get him and that everything bad that ever happened to him happened because of systemic racism, if I had to pick, I actually think the latter is more damaging. And again, I'm not saying all of it is horrible, you know what I mean? But there is something about like what the culture has pushed on young girls, particularly when I do also think that,
I can encapsulate this idea easily for you, right?
Sure.
What you're referring to is what's referred to as Schrodinger's feminist. Okay.
Right.
Here's how Schrodinger's feminist works. I'm a badass boss bitch CEO, and I am fucking epic and awesome in every way. The patriarchy abuses me. The patriarchy has made it so that I can't work. The patriarchy has made it so that I don't make the same amount of money as men. The patriarchy has made it so that I'm just looked at as a womb in society.
Here we go. Let's move on.
This type of thing. And actually, it's like a complete inverse of the feminist narrative, which is the feminist narrative is something like men had their boots on our throats until we finally fought our way out, or
right.
men allowed us
with our words.
Yeah.
We used really strong language and they just complied.
Let's move
They
on.
didn't want any of it. They had great propaganda, and what they had more than anything. So and then they were really pushing for it. They were funding it, the whole 9 yards. So women actually were gatekeeping their virtue far better than men ever did. But now, if a woman comes and tries to gatekeep virtue again, what ends up happening is the women tear her down. You're a pick-me. You're a, you know what I mean? You're a pick-me girl. You're just trying to, suck up to the men. You're just any type of female pushback towards, well, wait a second, maybe just don't fuck every guy that you see who has a nice wallet or a good head of hair. They get ripped to shreds. And so I think
that's the truth. I know in the black community, if you try to go tell black women, hey, don't be a stripper, don't be a whore, they mess around and beat you up. I know why bitches don't say nothing in the black community. You could actually get beat up.
No, I don't think really that men were the falter in women's virtue. I think that women always kind of governed their virtue by necessity, and they just don't. They just don't do it anymore. But you know who does? Men. We very much govern each other's virtue. If you're a piece of shit, you get beat up. Right? You get beat up. If you scam somebody, you get beat up. If you fuck around, the fuck around, find out, that's a real thing, right? That's a real thing. Men still do it. I mean, if you take a show too far, you might get punched in the mouth. Right? A guy might walk on the stage and be like, bam. And the viewers who are watching it might go, yeah, the fucking guy deserved that, right? He took it too far. He deserved it. Fuck him. He got smacked. And you know what? You, the guy who got smacked, might not even be that upset. You might be like, yeah, I had it coming. Right? That's all people or men holding men to account, men governing each other's virtue. It's all gone with women. It's all torn down. There's nothing.
Well, but that level of like accountability, being held to accountability by peers, I don't know if that ever existed for women. That is something that separates men from women. And it's not even the fact that say like if
I mean, this dude is the wildest dude. He believes he's speaking for women, but all he do is shit on women. But his problem is when he put his wife into the conversation. What a dummy. And I would tell you, never do that if you're not a solid nigga. Because it's all conversation, but at the same time, bringing your wife into it, knowing you ain't solid like that, and whatever your relationship is, and then trying to like say, yo, I denounced the throne and my wife will still love me. Nigga, please. That is all hypothetical. Come on now. And it's worse than that, but let's get to it.
I'm doing a show. If I cross a line,
when we're talking about essence, the thing itself, you absorb what to be a man is in the very air you breathe, and the company you keep, and everything.
Let's move on.
That's going on around you. I don't know. Ever, never, never. And still that breeds sick, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've done that yourself. Right. So the thing is that, yeah, there's a status which comes with this, and it's a much higher status. And that's another reason that it's been totally forgotten about, by the way, that is the kind of ultimate anti-materialist fuck you status symbol, which is available. But why do you think that's always under assault? It's always under assault everywhere. I mean, if you look at everything in the liberal progressive media, that dynamic, totally under assault. Women are in charge of the household, not men. It's my two dads, my two moms, or my polygamous marriage, or any number of different family dynamics which are pushed, except that one.
Okay, so that's actually a good question to ask, where we could transition a little bit into kind of the stuff we were debating about the other day. But I do think that a huge part of that, a reason why that's under assault, is because I do think look, in the environment that we're in today, where we live under, not just a modern centralized nation state, but the biggest, most powerful one in the history of the world, I do think that big government always sees family and religion and community as their rivals. And I don't think it's a coincidence that as power in Washington, D.C. has ballooned to the highest point that it's ever existed, the highest point any government power has ever existed, that there's been a systemic attack on the family. And I think there's a real connection there. Do you not?
I do, but let me give a slight amount of pushback here.
Sure.
Let us back up a little bit. Let me ask you this question. If 75% of divorces are initiated by women, I don't think it's quite that high, but let's just assume it is. Okay. It's the vast majority of divorces are initiated by women. Why do you think that is?
Okay. So I would say that there's again, with any question like that, there's many reasons.
Sure.
But a huge percentage of that is that all of the laws are stacked in women's advantages.
You hear that? Now, I want to let y'all know something right here. This is the point where you say, well, hold on, David. Dave, if all of the laws are stacked for the women, why did you get married under the law? If all the advantages are for women, and you with your money, I showed you him boasting about his career. With all of that for the women, why did you get married under law? And when you see that right there, you basically say, uh-oh, we got a fake one, guys. And that's when you know, oh, he's a liberalist. This man is out of control. But he got himself in trouble right there. All the laws. Well, why did you get married?
And look, there's this kind of like natural order where, typically speaking, women, like when those chicks you'll be arguing with will talk about the wage gap, and then you or one of the other guys on the show will explain to them that it's like, have you ever even looked into the wage gap? Do you know what that is? It's like, okay, well, here's why. One of the big reasons why there's a wage gap is because, like, you guys have the babies. And typically speaking, after you have the babies, you have to nurse the babies and you have to take care of the babies, and someone's got to stay with the babies. And it tends to make more sense for the men to be the breadwinners and to be the ones working, especially since we don't even know what to do with the freaking babies when they're newborns, and you guys have it all genetically encoded into you. And so the natural order, or the natural market order, if you want to look at it that way, would be that the man has this really big bargaining chip. That is like, hey, if you were to leave me, your life is going to be way, way harder than if you stayed with me. But then the government comes in.
Well, so that's a sticking point. That's why I wanted to kind of get your outlook.
Well, just to be clear, because my argument is that the law comes in and says that actually, no, you're entitled to half of what he has, if not more, that we're going to give you all the services in the world, that we're going to have the entire system is totally
done via contract
in favor of the woman.
But it's done via a contract. It's done with a non-coercive contract. So for instance, right now, right now, he's assaulting this man's marriage. This gets brutal. Let's go. Have all of the same perks that you get from being married without being married, right? You can go and in fact, you can go in your backyard tomorrow and you can say, I declare myself married. Put on a ring. Your girl puts on the ring. And I mean, who the fuck is anybody to say that they're not, right? Who is anybody to say that they're not? In libertarian land, you really couldn't, right? You couldn't really say who's married, who's not. They just kind of declare it. They're willingly signing these things, willingly signing these contracts. So explain this to me. And this is a sticking point, right? Big government or small government, anything in between. If women can adopt contracts and understand that they can adopt contracts that fucking men will sign, they will sign those contracts in order to get access to what the women have. How's that going to solve that problem? Without the large government or small government? That's what I don't get.
Sure. So I think that, well, first of all, it's not completely true what you're saying. I mean, there are in many states, not every state, but in many states, there are like these common law marriage.
Right. Now, remember what's going on. This guy is sort of an anti-government guy. So, yes, he knows what he's talking about. But yet and still, you got in it as a liberal.
Rules where even if you just live with a chick and have kids with her, even if you didn't sign any contract, you're basically still on the hook for as if you married her. That does vary state to state.
Not only does it vary, but common law in no way, shape, or form is the same type of reflection that you would get only in I think 3 states, as though you went and got an actual contractual marriage. There is some things that can happen around common law in some of the states that can be kind of brutal. But there's many states where it's not even a thing, right? It's not even a big problem. So let's assume you're in one of those states and it still has the same divorce rate. It's still high.
Right, but it's not genuinely a contractual agreement. I mean, what happened is that there is this cultural institution called marriage, which men have been and women have been engaging in for, from the beginning of civilization.
Totally agree.
And all of the sudden, the rules have switched now. And it's not as if like men, when they get married, sign a contract that says, hey, if this doesn't work out, you get 50% of what I own and all of the rules will be rigged against me and all of that. All you do is sign a marriage certificate. You may know or you may not know that the rules are rigged against you, but this is not in any meaningful sense like a contract that you entered into.
Sure it is.
Whoa. And that's when you know he knows right now his own marriage is under attack. So he's trying to say, well, you don't know that you're getting into a contract when you get married. Contraire, Dave. That's why we have all these channels out here. We are telling men, this is what it is, nigga. And this is how we've been fucked. And this is why you ain't got no daddy. We've been telling them how you ain't got no daddy and what all this contract shit is. So to try to go and act like, oh, these men don't know what they're doing. No. It's different now, player. And guess what? You as an anti-government liberal, you signed in with the government. Let's go.
That the rules are rigged against you, but this is not in any meaningful sense like a contract that you entered into.
Sure it is. I mean, you're entering into this contract, which is easier to break than a cell phone contract, right? It's easier to break than a cell phone contract.
The difference also is the incentive with a cell phone. You sign a contract that has like all
the marriage. You're signing a contract too. You're signing off on the marriage license and the contractual obligations that come with that.
Okay, in some abstract sense, what I mean is that the standard for say like signing a cell phone contract is that all of the all of the fine print has to be written out on a piece of paper. Now, to your point, no one actually reads that stuff. Fair enough, but I'm just saying none of that's even on a piece of paper for marriage.
Right. That means you are. That means what they say. That means you've been fleeced. You don't see the fine print. Where's the fine print? Encoded in the bitch. When does it show up? Who the fuck knows?
This is something that politicians just changed, and everyone's kind of embarking on this same old system of what has always been considered marriage, and now all of the chips are.
There's so much information now about what happens to men during divorce.
All right, there you go. That's the right argument. That's the reason why we are here, to let men know you are in a contract that you are fleeced by no matter what, unless that bitch is making more money than you. But why men don't push that? Because bitches know to put the vampire cross up against that shit. Once they're making more money than a nigga, marriage is not on the table. But these guys, they are still low level. As good as they are, they don't understand that dynamic of the game. And neither do you niggas. Let's go.
There's so much overwhelming information. You can't get away from it if you wanted to. They're still signing the contracts because they want access to these chicks. So what I'm asking, I guess, in a non-abstract way, if we were to have libertarian land, right? And by the way, this wasn't me, to be completely honest. One of the chatters that I have, though, said it was only 9 states have common law practice. I knew it was small, but I didn't know how small. So anyway, inside of libertarian land, where you're free to make contractual agreements of any kind, absent coercion, right? What the fuck would actually stop women from drafting this similar style, or vulturous lawyers from drafting up one of these vulture-like contracts, and men who are puppy-eyed and want that poon, sign them? I mean, it seems like they do it now, right?
So I get your point, but I think the counter to this, right, is that this is often the critique of libertarianism that you get, right, is that you go like, well, in libertarian land, what would stop you from doing this? But of course, the question is always compare to what? So yes, perhaps in libertarian land, there could be some women who drew up really awful contracts, but at least in that situation, the man would get to read the contract, go, yo, this woman just wrote up this crazy contract for you. This would stand out as a little bit less than normal. Whereas compared to what we have today, it just happens by decree.
Oh, did y'all hear that bullshit? Did you hear that bullshit? Did you hear that bullshit? That's why you know, guys, it's niggas like this that fuck this game up. So let me let you know what they're saying. If bitches was real, they would draw up this contract with all of their demands. A man would read it and say, bitch, beat it, right? And he's saying, as opposed to now, the bitch don't get to say nothing and just get to turn a switch on you. He think that that's better. Man, we fucked up.
Go, yo, this woman just wrote up this, but at least in that situation, the man would get to read the contract, go, yo, this woman just wrote up this crazy contract for you. This would stand out as a little bit less than normal. Whereas compared to what we have today, it just happens by decree from politicians.
So then you know what we're left with?
Everybody, including, now, by the way, I think me and you both have probably, my guess is, not knowing you that well personally, but my assumption is me and you both have stronger marriages than that, and that wouldn't be the case. But
whoa, see that? Be careful. Stop bringing your marriage into the game of regular men. It's not helpful, bro. And you can only get yourself caught up if you're not really bossed up with the bitch like that. I'm gonna fuck how many bills you paying. Let's go.
But Andrew, just think about it like this. Me and you have both signed those contracts.
How do you know?
Essentially we have. Yes, we are both married, right?
Yeah.
Both legally married.
Yeah.
So we've essentially agreed to what the rules of this jurisdiction are. By your definition, we've both signed these contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a prenup, right?
Whereas in libertarian...
Do you have a prenup with your bitch? Do you have a prenup with your bitch? He keep bringing his marriage up. Andrew's not talking about that. But this dude keeps bringing his marriage up. Do you have a prenup with your bitch since you talking shit?
Right?
Yeah.
Both legally married. Yeah. So we've essentially agreed to what the rules of this jurisdiction are. By your definition, we've both signed these contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a prenup, right?
Whereas in libertarian land...
Hang on, you got a prenup, right?
No.
What kind?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I mean, you got a prenup, right?
Whereas in libertarian land...
Hang on, you got a prenup, right?
No.
What kind of libertarian doesn't get a prenup?
Because you're not really married if you get a prenup, dude. That's not...
You're not really married if you get a prenup. Second sign of simphood. Look at him. Put his head down. This bitch got your money, you dummy. Big dummy. Yo, that's not real marriage if you get a prenup. What the fuck does that mean? Hold on. Yo, that's not a real marriage if you got a bunch of money and you get a prenup, because she deserves half of your shit for fucking you and making babies. All right.
Sign these contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, you got a prenup, right?
Whereas in libertarian land...
Hang on, you got a prenup, right?
No.
What kind of libertarian doesn't get a prenup?
Because you're not really married if you get a prenup, dude. That's not like... That's not... No, listen, man. Me and my wife are never breaking up, so it's not...
Me and my wife are never breaking up. All right, brother. That's not the point. The point is, if she does, she takes your money, you dummy. That's the point.
Dude, that's not like... That's not... No, listen, man. Me and my wife are never breaking up, so it's nothing I have to worry about.
But what the hell is marriage then? Why would marriage? Why would you need any sort of contract for a marriage? Why would you even need to go to the state to get married?
Well, I'm not saying you need to go to the state to get married. I'm saying that marriage, to me, the definition of marriage is being all in.
Yeah.
There you go. Third sign of being a serious major simp. Marriage to me is all in. What the fuck does that mean? I marry this bitch. I make all this money. I'm all in. She gets to get whatever she wants if she decides to divorce me. Why do you have to do that? What are we doing?
For a contract for a marriage. Why would you even need to go to the state to get married?
Well, I'm not saying you need to go to the state to get married. I'm saying that marriage, to me, the definition of marriage is being all in.
Yeah.
Meaning that there is no what if we break up.
So there's no state
contingency plan. Sure.
No state involved.
Hello. If it's all in, why do you need a contract? If it's all in, see, and this is the point that I'm trying to make to you niggas. All you niggas do is let bitches off the hook. Don't you get it, guys? I'm going to show you the measurements that both of these guys, well, Andrew, he don't want to say it, but that this other guy's missing. All in on whose part? You niggas never even know if a bitch is all in. You never even catch the measurement. And this guy's basically telling you, yo, I'm all in with my money. And she gets to be all in with what? Making a baby? Well, shit. I would say, at least in the black community, that's a meal ticket.
That there is no what if we break up.
So there's no state
contingency plan. Sure,
no state
but,
involved.
Well, sure. No, I mean, to the extent that the state might be involved, it might be because, say, there are certain laws that are written in where you can't get on the same health insurance, you can't be the whatever the rules.
You can do all that shit.
Well, it's okay. But regardless,
you could buy your own Blue Cross shit. You could buy your own health coverage. You heard? Why did you not sign a prenup? Because I want her to have my money. And I think niggas should go into marriages blind and let bitches have their money if they decide to change their minds. That is what you call a simp ass nigga. Let's go.
That's not really the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that if me and you both are married by the state, like legally recognized by the state,
yep,
we've both signed on to the contract that you're talking about. Whereas in libertarian land, I don't think if we were handed those contracts, we'd have been like, no.
But this is actually a weird.
I don't think our wives would have ever handed us those contracts.
Yeah, but this is.
You see that? It's a weird argument because he knows. At least Andrew knows, and we know. If your wife would have gave you a contract, you'd have said, "Beat it, bitch." And we know that bitches use what? The gray area. For what, Prince? For the ability for you to get shit wrong. It's only right as long as they say so. Everything was gray all along, pimp. And this dude is showing you how men live in that fog and love it.
Contracts, we'd have been like, no.
But this is actually a weird.
I don't think our wives would have ever handed us those contracts.
Yeah, but this is a super weird position, though, right? So so let me explain.
Sure.
Okay, I believe that covenant marriage is legitimate marriage, and basically all other forms of marriage are married unless
is that just a point of clarification? Is that just like for Christianity or like Jewish marriages, Muslim marriages, or something like that?
I even have a hard time, depending on the context, recognizing those because marriage to me has really specific criteria. So the criteria for marriage to me is that the man is the head of the marriage because that is a reflection of Jesus Christ in the church, being the head of the church, and the woman is reflective of the body of the church. Okay, which means that she submits to the man. And that is what that dynamic for marriage is. That's what marriage means in a Christian context. Okay. So if you're not following that dynamic, it doesn't seem like it's real marriage to me. It seems like it's kind of.
Here we go. There's another poke at his marriage. See, these white boys are a little sneaky. But there's another poke at his marriage. Okay.
Phony baloney marriage, right? And so there's some marriages in some cultures that, I think I would struggle to recognize. Not saying I wouldn't. I'm just saying it would be a struggle to do so for me. Now, moving into this, if you were a secularist, if you were a person who didn't believe in God, or even if you were a person who did believe in God, why the fuck would you ever go and get a state marriage anyway? Why would you ever need to do that? Why wouldn't you just go get a covenant marriage, call yourself married, be done with it? Right? Why would you, Libertarian Dave?
Libertarian Dave. Let's talk about you, Dave. You're such a libertarian. I don't even know what that shit means except freedom. If you're so free from the government, why would you go sign up? For the bitch. For the bitch. You hear me?
Ever go to the fucking state and allow the state to marry you?
For the bitch. For the bitch. If you're a libertarian and you're anti-government. For the bitch. Hello?
If you were a person who did believe in God, why the fuck would you ever go and get a state marriage anyway? Why would you ever need to do that? Why wouldn't you just go get a covenant marriage, call yourself married, be done with it? Right? Why would you, Libertarian Dave, ever go to the fucking state and allow the state to marry you? That makes no sense to me. That's like the most anti-libertarian thing I could ever think of, because you just said your criteria for marriage is we're all in. Hell yeah, you're all in. What the hell are you involving the state for? It sounds like that's giving her away out.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
There you go. There you go. Sounds like You gave your wife a way out, you bitch made nigga. That's what he was supposed to say. But white boys don't do it like that. They're a little more sneaky, you know. You gave your woman a way out, you bitch made nigga. But Dave know he's saying it. Let's go.
That makes no sense to me. That's like the most anti-libertarian thing I could ever think of, because you just said
your wedding, your wife goes everything against you stand for on the internet. Your wife.
Right? Why would you, libertarian Dave, ever go to the fucking state and allow the state to marry you? That makes no sense to me. That's like the most anti-libertarian thing I could ever think of, because you just said your criteria.
You let your bitch go against your life, morals, you bitch made nigga.
To marry you. That makes no sense to me. That's like the most anti-libertarian thing I could ever think of, because you just said your criteria for marriage is we're all in. Hell yeah, you're all in. What the hell are you involving the state for? It sounds like that's giving her a way out.
Wow. Now that's a friend. Now that's a friend, son. A man that's telling you what's up. You can still make the stupid choices that you want to make, but at least a friend told you what was up. A friend said, yo, that's a hole right there in the sidewalk, son. Don't go there. And you still go there. Your friend tried to help you, pimp. Only thing he could do after that is catch you after you fell. And then who knows if you still think you're a friend? Well, who the fuck knows what you niggas are up to, man?
That makes no sense to me. That's like the most anti-libertarian thing I could ever think of, because you just said your criteria for marriage is we're all in. Hell yeah, you're all in. What the hell are you involving the state for? It sounds like that's giving her a way out, right? That's giving her a way out that she wouldn't ordinarily have. So maybe she's not all the way in.
Right. Look at that man's face. Yeah, you just insulted my wife. Yeah, son. But it ain't her fault. All she did was throw that pussy on you. You willingly lived your life in the gray area. Problem is you're some sort of libertarian that's anti-government. That's the problem. So what would make you pro-government? A bitch. Yeah, this nigga is just registering in this man's thought process. Yo, the man's assaulting my wife.
Just said your criteria for marriage is we're all in. Hell yeah, you're all in. What the hell are you involving the state for? It sounds like that's giving her a way out.
Wow. Man's assaulting his wife. Let's go.
Right? That's giving her a way out that she wouldn't ordinarily have. So maybe she's not all the way in.
What? She's all the way in, I assure you. But why?
Well, I'm just giving you. Maybe she's not all the way in.
What? She's all the way in, I assure you.
She's all the way in, I assure you, brother. Be careful. That's not the story. The story is the bitch has a way out because of you.
But why?
Well, I'm just giving you the logic.
But why would no? But what's the logic? Why would she have a way out? Because we're legally married by the state, but not have a way out if we just said we were married.
Glad you.
There we go. See, this is how you know a bitch made nigga from a regular nigga. And you don't gotta be a thorough nigga, just a regular nigga. You are different from a bitch made nigga. He said, why wouldn't she have a way out if we didn't have the contract? Because she knows you wouldn't give a damn about her taking her pussy and the babies that you made in her elsewhere and trying to make her way. Now, you as a good man could do something for her, but you're not obligated. Fuck you mean a way out? All she would be doing is taking her pussy somewhere. Big difference, pimp. Big difference from her taking her pussy somewhere from getting your money and taking her pussy somewhere. Big difference, dummy.
Way in, I assure you. But why?
Well, I'm just giving you the logic.
But why would no? But what's the logic? Why would she have a way out? Because we're legally married by the state, but not have a way out if we just said we were married.
Glad you brought that up.
What type of stupid question is that? You supposed to be smart? Wow. And this is what I teach you niggas over here. Pussy make niggas dumb. We've all been there. You hear me?
Sure you. But why?
Well, I'm just giving you the logic.
But why would No, but what's the logic? Why would she have a way out? Because we're legally married by the state, but not have a way out if we just said we were married.
Glad you brought that up, because your kind of criteria here was, well, look, Andrew, when the government interfered and fucked the whole thing up, which it did, I'm not disputing that. Okay, definitely fucked the whole thing up. It was going to be fucked up either way, but they helped fuck it up way faster. Your kind of criteria here is, but all those laws and all of that favors the women. All those laws favor the women. They favor them, right? Oh, okay, great. So they don't favor men, right? So when you say, well, we're all in, right? We're all in because that's a real marriage. And if that's what the criteria of the state is for what a marriage is, then we need to do that. Well, actually, you're giving her the out by your own logic because all the laws conform to her and none of them are good for you. That's
hello. Dummy, monkey. Woo woo, monkey. You've been fleeced. You've been had. Hold on. Hold on. You've been fleeced, you monkey. Yo, homie. Yeah. Yeah, you too.
we're all in because that's a real marriage. And if that's what the criteria of the state is for what a marriage is, then we need to do that. Well, actually, you're giving her the out by your own logic because all the laws conform to her and none of them are good for you. That's my point.
Yeah. Okay. But the counter that's not me giving her a way out. Certainly, you're right that I'm giving her counter that's not me giving her a way out. Certainly, you're right that I'm giving her a more answer. That's not me giving her a way out. Certainly, you're right that I'm giving her.
Hello, your wife is under attack on live TV, pimp. What is the best thing for you to do, you dumb fuck? Say, yes, I give my money to my bitch. She's everything to me, and that's why I make money, so I can give it to her. That's the right thing to do, brother. What's wrong with you, man?
Because all the laws conform to her and none of them are good for you. That's my point.
Yeah. Okay. But the counter that's not me giving her a way out. Certainly, you're right that I'm giving her a more advantageous situation. If
I'm giving her a more advantageous situation, brother, that's the same difference. Who you think you're talking to? Who the fuck you think you talking? So, yeah, it is what it is, pimp. Why don't you just admit it, brother?
Out. Certainly, you're right that I'm giving her a more advantageous situation if she were to want to go out. But I don't care because I know she's not going anywhere.
Well, right. No,
I don't care because I know she's not going anywhere. That's not the argument, brother. Why you keep throwing that in? Because your wife is under attack, pimp. Don't come in these circles. These circles will hurt you. It's rough over here, pimp. You live your life with someone having a more advantageous situation against you. So what does that mean? You better watch your step, nigga. Nah, I know she ain't gonna leave me. All right, let's continue the conversation.
I understand. Listen, I'm not beating up.
Just to be clear here, I would sign a piece of paper tomorrow that goes, if my wife ever wants.
Now this is, yo, look, who's ever here watching this right now, this is the portion of the video that I wanted to break down. I just didn't know where the hell it was. My fault. What I will demonstrate in this portion of the video is how niggas can twist the logic and how niggas always keeping bitches on, not letting bitches off the hook. Niggas give these bitches passes after pass and they don't know it. And I will break this down for you and show you these niggas are crazy. You hear me? And I hope you guys are not like this.
I'm not beating up.
Just to be clear here, I would sign a piece of paper tomorrow that goes, if my wife ever wants to leave me, she gets 1,000% of everything I own, and she gets because she's not going anywhere.
See that? That is not the measurement. We're going to get back to that. I'm going to come back to that because that's not the way you measure a bitch.
Because we're together forever. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that as in my particular marriage, that doesn't matter.
Well, you don't have the accurate measurement, but let's go.
General, if you put the incentives like that in front of society, then yes, you're going to get more women abusing that than you otherwise would.
Especially if they have narcissism, right?
Huh?
Especially if they're suffering from narcissism, where
Sure.
they're told
That's why
by
you
all
wanna-
the women in society, hey, if your guy's getting a little fat and a little bit lazy, time to trade up, girl.
No,
Time to
listen,
go. Girl
so-
power. Time to trade up, girl.
To be clear, I would
Still talking about his marriage. He's still talking about his marriage, but I'm gonna break him down. Let's go.
sign that agreement with my wife because
Yeah,
I know her and we're all in
Brother,
together.
Yeah, I get it.
whoa. I'm gonna play it back. But this is not the measurement. But Andrew don't know. Let's go.
I would sign that agreement with my wife because
Yeah.
I know her and we're all in together.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
don't think enforcing that by law across a nation would be a healthy recipe for success.
Yeah,
Does
but
that make sense?
Yeah, but I think so. I'm sorry, I got to say this, but I think that's a very gynocentric take from my.
I think that's a very gynocentric take. I think you're a bitch-made nigga. Hello? I think you're a bitch-made nigga and you just don't know it. And that's fine. A lot of niggas with money don't know it. Let's go.
Position. So
How
what
so?
makes it? I'll explain. What makes it a gynocentric take is I'm all in and she's all in, but I'm the one signing the piece of paper that says she gets 1,000% of everything. What is she signing?
She signed the same thing.
She signed the same thing. That is a problem. Now, that is not the measurement, pimping. The measurement is tell that bitch to divorce you. And that will be the only sign that she's all in. Tell the bitch to divorce you. Fuck signing a paper. Tell that bitch to sign a paper to divorce you if y'all are all in. What's up? I mean, ain't nobody going nowhere. You don't like the government. Tell that bitch to divorce you. That bitch will kill you before she do that.
This is in the abstract. I'm sure she would, right? The only reason I'm using you.
No, you're not sure she would. You're just being nice to the nigga. And that's not the measurement. Sign a paper. No, divorce. A lot of you guys don't even know how to put a bitch on the hook. That's what you call putting a bitch on the hook. Yo, divorce me. I'ma sign you in my will. Whoever dies first get the money. You in? So if you go out here and you cheat and all that, bitch, you out. I don't gotta be with you, but I got you in my will. I could change my will though. Uh-oh. That's what you call having a bitch on the hook. You hear me? And if you guys ain't got a bitch on the hook, it is what it is. It's fine. Don't act like you do, though.
Is because I'm trying to kind of articulate how I see things, and you're the example because you're right in front of me.
Sure.
So anyway, what I would say here is the risk, though, the entirety of the risk is yours to take here. Whereas you don't actually have to involve the state. And I think you as a libertarian would say, do not involve the state in your marriage because that's not what marriage is about. It has nothing to do with the material conditions that the state offers you as a bribe to sign a fucking contract so that you can take half your shit and your kids, right?
So to be clear, she could take the kids either way, legally speaking. That's not going to change, and that also is fucked up. But I'm just saying that's not changing whether you're
less
married or
likely.
not.
It's less likely if you have a marriage where she goes to the judge and says, well, I was a homemaker for 13 years and I was never properly compensated, and now it's time for me to get the kids.
No,
and he has to go to work.
More likely that she could get your wealth. I don't know if it's any more or less likely to get the kids. I think you're
No, it is. I'll explain how. I'll explain how it's more likely. So what happens is they say, I was Betty Crocker. Okay. He went and worked every day. I sacrificed everything. I sacrificed my hopes, Your Honor, and my dreams and everything I could have been for this man. That's what I did. And he doesn't even want me to have shared. He won't give me full custody of the kids. And all he has to do is do the same thing he's been doing. But I'm the one who has to make the adjustment in life. I now have to go get a job. This is horrible on me. And they get awarded this so much, David, it will blow your fucking mind.
No. I'm not. Listen, it doesn't blow my mind. I know a lot of people who have been through this situation, and there's no question, like, especially in divorce court where like everyone's a woman. Like you go into everyone involved, including the judge, is a woman. I'm just saying that even if you were never legally married by the state, you're still going to have a very tough time if you're in a custody battle. But the point
now with a prenup, you can get some prenups.
Even with prenup.
Do you know that 80? So James Sexton, he's an attorney. So almost all. Oh, the
80
overwhelming
is not
majority.
80 is not that great for a contractual agreement, but better than
It's better than a
nothing.
business
Sure,
agreement.
sure.
Better than
Is
business
it?
agreements.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And as far as partnership, it could offset this would be for both you and the wife to just sign a prenup and then have a backyard wedding, call yourself married, and be done with the whole thing.
Well, look, to be clear here, I don't like if somebody just did that and had a backyard wedding and declared themselves married, I wouldn't feel like I'm any more married than they are because I have a state.
But you are. That bitch get to get your money. Big difference, nigga. She get to go fuck somebody else and take your money. And you got to pay for the lawyers.
Like, certificate or whatever. I just, my thing is that if there was anyone, so by the way, I should also probably just full disclosure, I should mention this. I didn't really have any money when I got married.
I didn't have any money when I get married. He's trying to protect his wife. Brother, the bitch is under assault. If you didn't have any money, all you did was put her in the money. Best thing about it is you need to be the simp that you are and say, look, I'm not going to be with anybody else. I will give this woman my money. She can have that over me. People are going to call you a bitch made nigga, blah, blah, blah. But it is what it is. Don't come in these arenas like you standing on business. You are divorced away from looking like a fool, and it won't be your fault.
I just started making money when I first started dating my wife, like a little bit of money. And she was totally in love with me, but had nothing to do with the money. And I've made a decent amount since we've been married. But so a prenup wouldn't have even like.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. That's I think that's the Jeezy stuff. So since you've been making money, since you've been married, 50% is hers, period. It's all on after you've gotten married. Let's go.
Been necessary in my situation, but even for friends of mine who I know who are like single now who have money, if they were like, hey, I'm marrying a chick, but I feel like I got to get her to sign a prenup, my instinct on that is already to be kind of like, dude, if you're even a little bit concerned that she might try to leave you and take your money, just don't marry this chick.
But that's such a weird position to say on the one hand that the state is super coercive and biased towards men when it comes to this institution of marriage. But at the same time, don't combat the state by doing a private contract. That seems totally counterintuitive to your position.
Well, to be clear, no, I don't think it is. I'm not saying that there's something evil about a prenup. And I'm not saying that like that. What I'm saying is that on an individual basis, if you are marrying someone and you feel like there's a decent chance that they may take advantage of the state's fucked up rules, that's probably not someone you should be marrying.
Now, where do we go with this? We go, and when stupid people say stuff like this, now he's not dumb, he's just in the wrong space. He doesn't understand. Once you have that sort of advice to offer, you must follow up with, I go get the bitches from over here. Where do you find the bitches that you don't have to prenup? So stop trying to act like you giving advice, pimp. You don't understand the space. Oh, I don't think that would be the type of, right. Because you don't know where to find a bitch that you don't got to do a prenup with.
Does that make
no, I
sense?
don't. Not really. So, I mean, because here's the thing. Because all you're doing then, I think you're feeding into the gynocentrism of the man takes all the risk. You don't take any fucking risk, right? The state is going to side on behalf of. So here's the thing. You can agree with me that you can be with a perfect woman. You could be madly in love with her. You know, in your heart of hearts, she's in love with you. And in 6 years, she leaves your ass. It can happen, right? There's not. And the thing is you've known guys this has happened.
Yeah, yo bitch too, nigga.
To. I've known guys that this has happened to. It happens to good people all the time.
Okay,
sometimes it's just a switch is flipped.
But
so why would you ever give them the advice? So why would you ever give them the advice then, knowing that the laws of the state are going to fall to the woman to tell men not to get a prenup? That's crazy.
Well, to be clear, my advice wasn't that you should marry this chick anyway without it. I go, if there's a concern about that, my advice.
That's where you wrong. You don't give advice if you don't know where to find the non-prenup bitches. Slow down. And that's one of the major problems we have in these spaces. A lot of niggas talk with no solution. It is what it is, man. You're a clown.
Was don't marry this chick. But to say, I don't I actually don't agree that there's like these relationships that were perfect and you were totally right, and then a flip switched and she became this cold-hearted bitch who would ruin your entire life. I think there were probably many red flags that you were ignoring all throughout that.
I look, I agree. You know, love is blind, as they say. And the truth of the matter is I've seen a lot of dudes go into some relationships with some chicks where I'm like,
yeah, but that's not the measurement. The measurement is if you didn't have a contract with the bitch with the state, she could be whatever the fuck she want to be. And she can have all the red flags she wants to have. Don't you get it? That's the measurement. Bitches ain't gonna fuck with you like that if they don't got that paperwork, nigga.
what are you, fucking retarded? But
well, yes,
but the thing is, yeah, they are being stupid because love is blind.
Okay, so then my advice would be don't be stupid.
But the thing is like to kind of the kind of point like, no, I'm kind of a threshold above. I have so much trust, and my wife has so much trust that we don't even care. I never even have to worry about it. It's like, okay, maybe, I guess. But I think for the vast, overwhelming majority of men, that is not going to be the case. And the numbers seem to bear out that that's not going to be the case. So advising men in modernity, especially, look, man, if you're going to get married, one, you probably shouldn't involve the state and you should have a covenant marriage. And two, you probably should have a prenup. And the thing is a lot of times churches will advise against prenups. And I say I would still get a prenup because they're not with the times. They don't really understand how bad it is out there. But I would still get one.
Is a prenup for men who are coming in with like huge sums of money?
No, it's no.
See, that's why I say these arguments are still only halfway based because you keep placing the money on the men and the honesty on the bitch. I want to place the money on the bitch and the honesty on the man. Now, these bitches make enough money where they could put themselves in a position where they're signing prenups. And until Dave can understand all of these different nuances of the game and realize, nah, son, these bitches got real, what you call, lists and categories and things that make it not possible. He's a lost person, bro. He's a lost nigga.
With no money. The thing is men often will make their money while they're married, okay? Mm-hmm. And then women will take that. What the prenup is there for is just to equalize the rules, right? So here you are, you're saying, man, the state, the big, massive government apparatus came in, fucked the whole thing up, made it gynocentric, made sure all the laws defer to women, and all that's true. It is. So if you have this offset that we can give, some kind of offset to men to kind of equal the playing field or make it even, since the woman's ass is already covered by default, why wouldn't we cover theirs? All
right, listen, you are making a very strong libertarian argument for prenuptial agreements, but I would just say that my advice, in the same sense that you can have pattern recognition and recognize things in broad swaths, but then you can also like judge things on an individual basis. I would.
Here we go, going back to his own marriage. Not knowing, bro, your marriage is the case study. That bitch has everything on you. And you cannot say to her, yo, let's get a divorce. I'm going to still take care of you. You can't do it. You're missing the point, brother.
Would say that I think that the person you're marrying, if you're actually doing your job as a man and you're being...
There we go. As a man. And that's what the owner's been on. And I've been telling you niggas from day one. So that means all bitches are honest and fair. And once all bitches are not honest, fair, don't get a bitch that you got to get a prenup with. And after you don't got to get a bitch with a prenup with, you want a bitch that look good, right? Because he said, don't marry a fool. Then after that, like, what are we doing? What's left to pick from? After that, you got rainbow bitches and obese bitches. What's left?
A man and being the basis, I would say that I think that the person you're marrying, if you're actually doing your job as a man and you're being a man, and
here we go. That's what most clown niggas say. And we all know it. I'm just bringing it up to you from the white boy's perspective. Because we already know this story, dog. We know this story. Niggas is still blaming niggas for these hoes. Crazy.
Being the leader of your household, I actually don't think that's something you really have to worry about. I think if you do your job, I think most of the time when these women like leave and take everything, it is in part at least because the man was not being the man of that household.
There you go. Now, how do we account for Brittany Renner and bitches that divorce real niggas with real money, NBA players and shit like that? Men that did nothing to these bitches. How do you account for that? Because you don't have knowledge of the game, Dave. You're not supposed to be in this convo. That boy that got Brittany Renner pregnant, he ain't did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. A young nigga, you know? Come on, player. You don't know the game, pimp. Stay out of this. You're the nigga that's getting fleeced, pimp.
So maybe that's what's skewing me a little bit. In theory, if you're saying that a prenup was going to cancel out the fucked up, like the fucked up, like putting their thumb on the scale that the state does, I get your point. Perhaps that is benefit. Perhaps on a large scale that would be more totally beneficial than more beneficial than not. You know, perhaps you're right about that.
So that's, as I look at these dynamics, right, and in modernity especially, okay, to me, the language of a prenuptial agreement, you know, when I was growing up, I thought that was for like, you know, rich fucking football players and shit. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of known that they're marrying a hot 19-year-old when they're moving into their 35-year-old retirement or whatever, and that chick is basically just there for money. And we know that she's just there for money. But now it's become a survival mechanism. Now it's become a mechanism for actually combating this kind of gynocentrism, which is seeped into the law. And
yes. That man works for the city of Mount Vernon. He worked on a garbage truck. She got a job at a dentist's office. Okay? Divorce or child support, she's getting extra tax-free money on top of her money as a survival mechanism. That man ain't did shit wrong. We talking low-level shit here. Just extra money. She goes to nursing school while she's working at the doctor's office. All this extra fly shit. Survival mechanism. But Andrew can't break it down the way we can, because we know how filthy he don't even know how to talk to this fucking simp ass nigga. He doesn't. He's so far behind.
Mechanism for actually combating this kind of gynocentrism, which is seeped into the law. And the truth is, we can have good, astute marriage laws and good enforcement of marriage laws, which are fair and unbiased, but we don't. And the reason that we don't is because I believe that the attack on marriage specifically is a feminist response to patriarchy. Marriage is always the man is the head. This has always been the religious connotation from it. Doesn't matter what religion, at least as of the view shown, except that one.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's something to, and this is maybe to move the conversation a little bit more broader, but don't you think there's something toward something about, say, like the feminists who are like hate marriage so much, and the fact that, say, they're largely backed by the political class? I mean, certainly forget even getting into like, you know, the feminist movement being created and funded by the CIA or stuff like that, which is an interesting topic if you want to talk about that. I know your wife wrote a book on that.
Can't get into it on YouTube, right?
Well,
look. We did our thing, man. I got some other stuff I want to do. I want to do another simp nigga. Right, King Disagreeable. I mean, I don't know the nigga. I know, you know, I watched the nigga talk to the bitches, but you know, when we break it down, you could clearly hear these guys are missing a lot of the key points. You know? And I guess only thing I could come up with is they like to be, you know, soft towards women for, I guess, monetary gain. I don't know, man. But you can tell that it's a lot missing. I could give you that. But I want to do Poetic Flacco on Fresh and Fit. So I want to come right back with that before my gladiator come. I guess I'll just roll up or whatever. You know? Poetic Flacco on Fresh and Fit. You niggas, I'm doing simps today. Takes one to know one. I got Poetic Flacco set up for Fresh and Fit for you niggas. It was crazy. Niggas like this out there, you basically sit there and say to yourself, your homie, when you make love to your bitch, how does it go? Are you dominant? What are we doing? Because I always equate everything with the pussy. You know, like, what is your dominance towards pussy? What is your anger? What is your element towards pussy? What is your objective towards pussy? What are we doing? It is what it is, man. We giving the game up, King Disagreeable. We ain't playing with these niggas. Fuck them. You hear me? I'm gonna do this poetic Flacco. I'm gonna reset and do that real quick for before my gladiator comes.